From a $4.7 billion lakefront dome to suburban dreams that keep getting crushed by politics, the Chicago Bears' stadium saga has become the NFL's most expensive failure. In the latest blow to their arena ambitions, Illinois state lawmakers just delivered a devastating message. No funding, no stadium, no progress. After years of flip-flopping between Chicago and Arlington Heights, the Bears are running out of time, money, and political goodwill. Is this the beginning of the end for the Bears in Chicago? Welcome to Big Builds. On April 24, 2024, the Chicago Bears unveiled what they called the most ambitious stadium project in NFL history. A $4.7 billion enclosed facility on Chicago's lakefront, featuring a fixed translucent roof, 65 to 70,000 seats, and 14 acres of public parks where Soldier Field currently stands. The proposal included a four-season entertainment district with hotels, restaurants, and retail spaces stretching along Lake Michigan. The architectural renderings showed a gleaming structure that would dwarf nearby attractions like the Field Museum and Shedd Aquarium. The price tag alone makes this the most expensive stadium proposal in professional sports history. Even SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, currently the most expensive NFL facility ever built, cost $5.5 billion, including all surrounding development. When adjusted for construction inflation since 2020, the Bears' proposal would actually cost closer to $6 billion in current market conditions. Turner Construction, the firm that provided preliminary cost estimates, warned that steel and concrete prices have increased 28% since the initial projections were completed. But here's what made this proposal politically toxic. The Bears wanted $2.4 billion in public funding, more than half the total cost for a project that would be privately owned and operated by the McCaskey family. To put this in perspective, $2.4 billion exceeds the entire annual budget of 23 U.S. states. The public funding request included $1.5 billion from Illinois state government, $600 million from the city of Chicago, and $300 million from Cook County. The Bears claim this investment would generate $8.4 billion in economic impact over 30 years, creating 43,000 construction jobs and 25,000 permanent positions. However, independent economists immediately questioned these projections. Dr. Andrew Zimbalist, a sports economist at Smith College who has analyzed stadium economics for over 3 decades, reviewed the Bears' economic projections and called them wildly optimistic and not grounded in empirical reality. Zimbalist noted that most stadium economic impact studies inflate benefits by 200 to 300% compared to actual outcomes. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritsker took one look at the proposal and delivered a public death blow. During a May 2024 press conference, Pritsker called the Bears' request a non-starter and stated that public funding for a Bears stadium would not be a good deal for Illinois taxpayers. This effectively killed any hope of state legislative support before the proposal could even reach committee hearings. The timing couldn't have been worse for the Bears. Illinois faces a $144 billion unfunded pension liability, one of the worst fiscal crises of any state in America. The state's infrastructure receives a D- grade from the American Society of Civil Engineers, with 43% of roads in poor condition and 9% of bridges structurally deficient. The Interstate 55 corridor through Chicago needs $2.3 billion in repairs, while the CTA subway system requires $25 billion in upgrades to maintain basic operations. Chicago's financial situation is equally dire. The city struggles with a $733 million budget deficit for 2025 and faces its own pension crisis approaching $30 billion in unfunded liabilities. State Representative Cam Buckner from Chicago delivered perhaps the most devastating critique of the Bears' proposal during June 2024 legislative hearings. Buckner stated, "Chicago taxpayers still owe hundreds of millions from the last Bears stadium deal. That's like being sent to collections on your old car note while trying to take out another loan for a luxury SUV. The last Bears stadium deal refers to the $690 million Soldier Field renovation completed in 2003. Chicago is still paying debt service on that project, with annual payments of $47 million continuing through 2032. The total cost to taxpayers will exceed $1.2 billion, including interest when the debt is finally retired. The Bears made a catastrophic error in their political approach that doomed the project before serious negotiations could begin. Team President Kevin Warren and the McCaskey family unveiled their $4.7 billion proposal with a massive presentation at Soldier Field on April 24, 2024, complete with architectural renderings, economic projections, and promotional videos. However, they failed to include Governor Pritsker, House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch, or Senate President Don Harmon in their planning process. These three officials control all major legislation in Illinois, and blindsiding them with a $2.4 billion funding request was political suicide. Speaker Welch expressed his frustration during a May 2024 interview with Chicago Tribune reporters. "You don't announce a multi-billion-dollar public investment without talking to the people who have to approve it first. This isn't how serious policy gets made in Springfield." The Bears compounded their mistake by setting artificial deadlines that created pressure on lawmakers. Kevin Warren initially demanded shovels in the ground by the end of 2024, later pushing the timeline to construction must begin in 2025. These arbitrary deadlines ignored the reality of legislative processes and budget cycles. Illinois operates on a 2-year budget cycle, with major capital projects typically requiring 18 to 24 months of committee review, public hearings, and stakeholder negotiations. Facing complete rejection in Springfield, the Bears pivoted back to their original Arlington Heights plan in May 2025. The team already owns the 326-acre former Arlington International Racecourse site, purchased for $197 million in February 2023, after demolishing the old track buildings throughout 2023 and 2024. The property is massive, equivalent to 247 football fields, providing ample space for a stadium complex, parking, and surrounding development. However, Arlington Heights presents equally daunting challenges that the Bears haven't solved despite 4 years of planning. The primary obstacle is property taxes, which could skyrocket from the current $3.6 million annually to over $30 million per year once a stadium is constructed. The Cook County assessor values undeveloped land at approximately $11,000 per acre, but a $4 billion stadium complex would increase the assessed value to roughly $120 million. At Illinois' effective property tax rate of 2.3%, annual taxes would approach $28 million. To address this problem, the Bears are pushing for state legislation called a mega projects bill that would freeze property taxes on large-scale developments for up to 30 years. This bill would essentially grant the Bears a $600 million tax subsidy over the life of the facility. Bears President Kevin Warren made the stakes clear during an August 9, 2025 press conference. "Without that legislation, we are not able to proceed forward." This statement essentially confirmed that the Arlington Heights project depends entirely on state government action. But the same legislators who rejected $2.4 billion in stadium funding are even less enthusiastic about $600 million in tax breaks. Representative Cam Buckner has already announced his opposition to the mega projects bill, calling it corporate welfare disguised as economic development. Governor Pritsker remains skeptical of any tax relief that primarily benefits wealthy suburban communities. During July 2025 remarks to reporters, Pritsker noted that property tax breaks for billionaire sports owners don't align with our priorities for working families. The Bears have attempted to build local support in Arlington Heights, but even suburban officials are wary of the financial implications. Village President Tom Hayes supports the project but acknowledges that losing property tax revenue would force cuts to police, fire, and school funding. School districts 15, 211, and 214, which serve the Arlington Heights area, have negotiated a separate agreement with the Bears that sets property taxes at $3.6 million annually through 2027. If the Bears don't begin stadium construction by December 31st, 2027, taxes increase to market rates, potentially reaching $25 to $30 million. This creates a ticking clock that adds pressure to an already difficult political situation. The Bears need state legislation, local approvals, architectural plans, and construction financing all finalized within 16 months to meet their tax deadline. Perhaps the Bears' biggest strategic error has been their constant location changes, which destroyed their credibility with politicians, media, and fans. August 2021, Bears announce exploration of Arlington Heights site. September 2022, team purchases Arlington Heights property for $197 million. January 2024, Bears shift focus back to Chicago Lakefront. April 2024, unveiling of $4.7 billion lakefront proposal. May 2024, Pritsker rejects lakefront funding. August 2024, Bears indicate both downtown and Arlington Heights remain options. May 2025, team announces Arlington Heights as sole focus. August 2025, Warren demands mega projects legislation. This pattern of announcements and reversals has created widespread skepticism about the Bears' actual intentions. Sports marketing expert Mark Gannis describes the situation bluntly. They can't keep playing it on all sides. They have hurt their reputation as a franchise by flip-flopping. It's the boy who cried bear. Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago, who had been one of the Bears' strongest supporters, essentially gave up on the team by May 2025. At a press conference, Johnson stated, "There's no person in this city or this state that has worked as hard to keep the Bears in the city of Chicago. They need some support from the state. I don't control the state." Even if the Bears solve all their Arlington Heights problems tomorrow, they face another massive obstacle. They're stuck in a lease at Soldier Field that runs through the 2033 season. This lease includes penalties that could cost hundreds of millions of dollars if they leave early. The lease also includes restrictions on renovations and improvements, meaning the Bears can't significantly upgrade Soldier Field without city approval. Construction costs have skyrocketed due to inflation, supply chain issues, and President Trump's tariff policies. Industry experts estimate that the $4.7 billion lakefront proposal would now cost closer to $6 billion, while an Arlington Heights stadium would be at least $3.5 to $4 billion. The Bears are also dealing with NFL financing limitations. The league's G4 program can provide up to $300 million for stadium projects, but that's a loan that has to be repaid from visiting team revenues. While the Bears have been stuck in political and financial quicksand, other NFL teams have been getting their stadium deals done. Buffalo Bills secured $850 million in public funding for a $1.7 billion new stadium. Keys to success: they worked with state and local officials for years before going public. They built political consensus before announcing their plan, and they accepted that taxpayers would own the facility. Tennessee Titans got a $2.1 billion stadium with the city paying 70% of the cost. How they did it: they negotiated quietly for 5 years, included significant community benefits, and most importantly, they had unified political support before going public. Jacksonville Jaguars just completed a $1.4 billion renovation deal with 55% public funding. Their secret: they worked directly with the mayor and city council, avoided state politics entirely, and agreed to revenue sharing that benefits the city. Bears fans have been watching this stadium saga unfold for over 4 years, and their patience is running out. Season ticket holders received surveys about seating options for a new stadium in July 2025, with prices that include permanent seat licenses costing thousands of dollars per seat. One longtime season ticket holder told local media about sticker shock from the survey, saying the team was pricing out longtime fans for a stadium that might never get built. As we head into fall 2025, the Bears are running out of options. The Illinois legislature reconvenes in October, but there's no indication that lawmakers are any more willing to support stadium financing than they were 6 months ago. The Arlington Heights mega projects bill that the Bears desperately need has zero political momentum. The Bears could try to fund an Arlington Heights stadium entirely with private money, but that would require them to either take on massive debt or find private investors willing to put billions into a football stadium with uncertain revenue prospects. After 4 years of grand announcements, political battles, and broken promises, the Chicago Bears are further from a new stadium than when they started. Their $4.7 billion lakefront dream has collapsed. Their Arlington Heights backup plan is stalled in political quicksand, and they're stuck in a lease at a stadium they claim is obsolete. This isn't just about football. It's about what happens when billionaire sports owners meet political reality in an era of economic uncertainty. Will the Bears finally get realistic about stadium financing, or will they spend the next decade stuck at Soldier Field while other teams build state-of-the-art facilities? What's your take? Should Illinois taxpayers help fund a Bears stadium, or is it time for the McCaskey family to pay their own way? Drop your thoughts below, and if you want more investigations into the biggest construction failures and political battles in sports, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the projects that promised everything and delivered nothing.